Well, Broncos fans, it's another cold evening here at the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Welcome in, everyone. Of course, we are brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your Colorado sports needs, whether it be Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, or, of course, Rockies. Good evening, gentlemen, man. It's a little bit cold where I'm at. We're trying to crank up the heat, keep it warm. Hope you're all well. My name is Keith Brugman. I'm your host. I am joined, I'll start off with, to the side of me, Mr. Trevor Salzman. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good, Keith. Just watched some playoff football this weekend and, some really interesting games. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show, but excited to be here. And again, trying to stay warm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And if you're the Miami Dolphins, maybe you can just shake it off. That's all I'm saying. No, Mile High Dutchy, how you doing, sir? Hopefully you're staying warm, man. Polar plunge heading your way a little bit as well, man. Oh, no mic, sir.
What you said about the Miami Dolphins is not quite true. They can not shake it up because they're frozen solid.
Not the truth.
It was -12 yesterday, and right now it is -8 here in this the neck of these woods.
Neck of the woods, hanging out close to Kansas City, hoping that those Chiefs were going to lose so that, he didn't have to walk around seeing as much of that red, and all those pumped up fans where he happens to live. Dutchy, I feel for you. Hopefully they'll exit next round. We'll have to figure that out. Jody, always up in the high country, man. I imagine it's ability to get pretty dang cold. Not sure how you've been hanging out, but how are you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
Doing good. Just disappointed we're not in the big show. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Let's have some positivity. You never know. We'll get into these playoff games, guys, but the offseason really started to kick off already this year with Black Monday, and it seemed like things got heated up, and it got heated up quick around the NFL. Big names left and right. I wanted to get to a few of them. Big names in the chat already. We got Mr. Ernie Mays. Wow, man. Tripping over my tongue, saying, Dem boys lost in their own backyard. I think we know who we're talking about there. Talking about some Dallas Cowboys there. And he says, hello, Keith, Trevor, Jody, and Dutchy. Go Broncos country only, of course. Go Broncos country only. Go Ernie Mays only, man. Thank you so much for coming in here and supporting us, man. Talking about those, that coaching carousel. Looks like, as we were talking right on before we got on air, there could be up to 9-10 openings, but we're going to talk about these kind of one by one. First and foremost, the shocker that came out. I'm going to hit Jody first here really quick. Jody, what'd you think about Pete Carroll's exit up in Seattle?
I was a little surprised. Still sounds like he has the passion and the energy to do it. It sounds like if it was more of an Elway type thing where they're going to keep him on as a consultant type role, they weren't just going to or fire him. He's going to stay on in some capacity. So I think they're just trying to phase him out a little bit. But I was surprised for sure.
Yeah, 14 seasons, 137, 89-1 record, 10-9 in the playoffs. Of course, took home one Super Bowl, had a chance for two. Albert, what were your thoughts as Pete Carroll exited the Seattle Seahawks as head coach, at least? Need that mic on though, buddy.
Yeah, we had some background noise, so that's why I can't. The silence did.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I would have thought that Pete Carroll would have been pretty much the year after Russell was gone, would have been gone too, but he stuck another couple of years, and I think it is good for him to move on to, because he can have better opportunities than just be a Seahawks coach. I think he also has ties with the broadcast over there, so he can maybe just sit back and watch games and comment on it. I think that would be also good for him.
Yeah, it might be good for him. Trevor, before I get to you, there was a lot of reports that, he was doing everything he could to try to stay in that seat, though, continue to be head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. It's one of the reasons I think a lot of people found it so surprising is because we didn't necessarily think that Pete Carroll was going to be out this next year. Were you surprised? And what are your thoughts on Pete Carroll being out as a Seahawks head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised because in this league, and he's been with them 14 years. Eventually, you're going to need to change the scenery. They haven't made the playoffs the past couple of years, so eventually, you have to do right by him if you're the Seahawks organization. Again, he's your most winning coach in franchise history, so you have to do right by him. Again, he wanted to stay, but I think it's more Seattle wanted to move on, and I think Pete Carroll. I don't think he's done coaching. I really don't. I think again he's going to be a guy that's going to stick around. Maybe as a consultant for a little while. Maybe he sits out a year, but I can see Pete Carroll right back at it. The right opportunity. I can see him coaching right back in the league again. I just unfortunately don't think it's in Seattle, and they need to change the scenery. Maybe a guy like Dan Quinn makes more sense there, and maybe can get more of the players. That's a very talented roster, so they're starting to turn some things over there. So maybe just see what they do there. But I'm not surprised because you're never surprised the NFL per se. But no, I think they just need to change the scenery. But I think it's best for both sides in the long run.
Very good, man. I always thought it was a fantastic match. I know that, that was a second stint for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll obviously started off with the Patriots. He obviously goes to USC, goes to officially gets 2 championships, I'll say. I'll just put it that way, down there, and then runs off to Seattle. And at the time, I thought he was truly running, but really went up there, made a program, really felt like that him and the Seattle Seahawks were almost one and the same. So for me, kind of a shocking day, and kind of surprised they're moving on from him at 72. We'll see if he has the ability to go back in and woo another ownership group into becoming a head coach for them and continue on with that career. That will be interesting. One that we all had been kind of waiting for. I'll go back around the horn the opposite way on this one. Bill Belichick, 28 seasons as an NFL coach, of course, 24 with the New England Patriots, 6 Super Bowl rings, 302, 165-0, 31-13 in the playoffs. And before you get that, I just want to say hello to a couple of people. We have Adam coming in here and saying, "What's good, family? It's a deep freeze outside." Yeah, just check the temperature, Adam, where I'm at. Well, -10 currently. So, yeah, it's a deep freeze no matter where you're at. Jeremy coming in and saying, "Go Broncos. The Cowboys choked in the playoffs. I'm shocked." Maybe a little bit of sarcasm there. I'm not sure. Hey, maybe somebody's right outside my door. Evening, gents. -10 outside. Time to stay warm and cozy and talk Broncos. That's Michelle Knoppers. Is Michelle just right outside my door, Albert? What's going on here, buddy? No. Before we get to that, though, Bill Belichick. What are your thoughts on Bill Belichick's, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, again, there was rumblings about it. I think about a year ago or so. Quietly, it wasn't too much out there, but I think it was always a possibility after Brady left. But the whole thing is, I think there's a kind of misinformation. People say, well, he can't win without Brady. I mean, yeah, the record shows what it shows, but again, he still went to the playoffs without Brady, at least 1 year. So I don't think that it's just like, oh, he's just he's a Tom Brady type of guy. He can only win with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think that's accurate. I think he will win somewhere else. Again, I think it's right opportunity type things. We've been seeing that with these older head coaches. Now they're starting to kind of get up there in age a little bit. Now they're trying to especially these head coaches that have been with their organizations for a while. They're trying to go for the right fit. Look at the Seahawks, look at the Patriots. They don't have. I mean, the Seahawks. I mean, and the Patriots. They're just not in the best of places right now to do so. So I think that's why I'd say it's best for both sides. With Belichick, his defense was good. The offense just was very disappointing. And I think New England needed to go in a different direction. Again, I wonder, did New England look at it and say, okay, I think it's time for rebuild. Bill probably doesn't want to be a part of that. And I don't think Bill wants to develop a rookie quarterback per se, like a guy like Drake May, Caleb Williams, or Jaden Daniels. They'll be in play for one of those three guys. So I don't know if that Bill wanted to go with that long term. So you didn't see eye to eye, with Kraft and Bill Belichick on the future of their team. So definitely so, part ways. And again, wouldn't be surprised if Bill sat out another year if he didn't think there was an opportunity right now to win. Because Atlanta's been rumored and stuff like that too. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not surprised down the line where the record's at and how the offense kind of diminished. I'm not surprised, but I still do think Bill Belichick can still win at a high level elsewhere.
Yeah, if there's a guy that looks like he needs a break, Albert, it might be Bill Belichick. If you ever get to see this guy, looks like he could use a nice vacation. But what were your thoughts on Bill Belichick as he exited as the Patriots head coach? Long time tenure, 6 Super Bowl rings. Was it just time?
Yeah, I think so. Once in a while, you do need a change of scenery, and I think for Bill, it is the time for a change of scenery. And I don't think he will be unemployed very, very long. There is many teams that are head coach desperate, and you can have a Hall of Fame head coach of it. You have a Hall of Fame head coach available. Probably he's one of the greatest of all times as head coach. So he might get a nice paycheck somewhere. Yeah, there are teams who are needy will welcome him with open hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's still opportunity out there for Bill Belichick. I like the idea Trevor had of maybe just taking that year off, though, because a lot of people already have him pegged as, hey, he could be a defensive coordinator here. He could be a defensive coordinator there, and no, I just don't see that. I don't see that fit. I don't feel that's the move that Bill Belichick would want to make. Going to get back to Mr. Jody Moncrief if we can. There he is. We got Jody Moncrief back. Jody, we lost you for just a second. We're still talking Bill Belichick, though. What were your thoughts on him leaving the Patriots organization, and maybe a little bit about Gerard Mayo being the now youngest head coach in the NFL?
I wasn't surprised by either. I thought Bill Belichick kind of ran his course. It's kind of the chicken or the egg, who made who, Brady or Belichick. Losing record since Brady's left. Only one playoff appearance. I think he had a little too much power up there, being the GM and head coach. He also made some questionable decisions, like last year having Matt Patricia as his OC, wanting Matt Patricia again this year as his OC, but being overruled by Robert Kraft. So some stuff like that.
I had to guess. Can I interject one for you? How about taking a kicker and a punter both in last year's draft? Maybe had a couple other needs.
Yep. If I had to guess, he probably will be coaching somewhere next year. Sounds like either Washington. I mean, that's where he grew up, was in the Washington area. Atlanta, maybe Dallas. Something happens there. Those would probably be my three choices or guesses.
Yeah, just really, really interesting all the way around, man. Kurt Valente, if you happen to be still listening and watching, I saw your comment come in just a second ago. I'm going to get to some of your comments here as we flip over into Super Wildcard Weekend here in just a moment. So hang in there, buddy, if you can. I appreciate you, man. Really quick, guys, just one more, man, and I'll get to this one. Start again off with Jody. Alabama Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, 7-time national champ, 17 seasons, 206 and 29. Overall, he has a 292, 71 and 1 record as a coach. Nick Saban out at Alabama. I know that I said that Pete Carroll was a shocker, but I think Saban might have been even a larger shocker. I know it's not necessarily NFL, though he did have a little bit of tenure in the NFL as well. But what were your thoughts on Nick Saban leaving the Alabama Crimson Tide?
I was shocked till I heard some of the reasons why he left. 6 national championships at Bama, 1 at LSU. Probably go down as the greatest college coach ever. But he said in an interview that he was having a harder and harder time telling recruits that asked him, "Are you going to be here all 4 years?" If he could answer that and be honest about it. So,
Gotta
and
like that.
I think he's old school enough. NIL and the transfer portal and all this was not how he came up, and a lot of these older coaches that have been there a while are not adjusting well to it. So I think that, along with his age and the way they lost in the semifinals, was just a recipe for to call it a career.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Things need to wind down, and the way things were kind of winding down, and all the other pressures that college coaches are coming under at this time. Got to give it to you because, or give it to Nick Saban. If you don't feel like you can look a recruit in the face and say, "I'm going to be here for you for the next 4 years," and that's bothering you, and that's one of the reasons you're leaving, so be it, man. I gotta give it to him on that one. That's stand up, because there's plenty of other coaches that would find a way to get around that question, or just bury that guilt, I guess is the best way to put it, when they go head up and leave for one reason or another. Albert, what were your thoughts on Saban leaving?
Yeah, I'm not so into football, college football, but one of the reasons that he was asking about, are you going to stay here for 4 years or not? The college football is almost like the NFL. Players getting bought, and we talk about a lot of money in NFL football, yes, but the college football is getting at a certain level too. Players can earn $4 or $5 million for a couple seasons. So I don't think I'm not okay with that. Once they have given you an opportunity, and especially with college, and they give you college scholarships and money on top of it, I think you should stay loyal. And that is no longer the case anymore. And I think that is one of the reasons why this coach is leaving, because you have no more loyalty anymore.
Yeah, a lot of changes in college football, and trying to get that guy to stick around for 4 years has been an issue for quite some time. Now it's sometimes it's even tough for him to get to stick around for 3 years. So, yeah, good point. Nick Saban, not having to deal with that, not having to deal with NIL. I mean, that was his heyday, and maybe it's just time for him to move on. Trevor, what are your thoughts on Saban?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but I'm not at the same time, because again, you knew this day was going to happen eventually. Alabama, I think I heard something the other day that their athletic director was just they were waiting for the time. They already had their replacements candidates ready to go, just in case when Saban did decide to call it quits. I'm surprised because, again, the competitive side, and I know, and it hurts. I think as a football fan, just seeing Nick Saban now, he's away from the game again. Never say never. We'll see what happens if he comes back to NFL or college eventually. Maybe he does. Hopefully he does. He's such a great coach, one of the best head coaches of all time, in my opinion, and just anything in football. And that includes NFL. So, I just, again, it's a surprise, but I think, again, maybe he just needs to step away, take a big break away from the game for a year or two, and then come back and, maybe he'll lock on with another team, right fit type of situation. Again, you're starting to see this whole deal with these older coaches, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, all these guys are kind of starting to step away from the game. You wonder, is that game doing that for so many years? You wonder, no doubt, that this game is starting to take a whole, on their lives, and they just want to take a break away from the game for a little bit and then come back and reset. Sean Payton did it. So I mean, for whatever reasons you can argue, but again, these guys they've done it for so long, and again, football is just such a all year sport. I mean, there's an off season. There's when college is transfer portal. There's not the NIL stuff and all that stuff, and then not in the NFL. It's off season draft all the time. Yeah, it's just so much to do throughout the year. It's not just games that they're involved with. So all that, let alone, I mean, just it takes a toll on you eventually. Again, I'm glad he took a step away from the game. Hope to see him back, but a little disappointed he's gone. But again, hopefully, did it for the best. What the best is for him going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And maybe they all come back for the same team. I'm just kidding, man. Could you imagine? That'd be amazing and impossible all in the same time. Got to get to the chat board, guys. Ignored it for way too long. I got Pearl coming in here saying hello, Pearl. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining in on the chat. We're going to be getting to some playoffs. We're going to be getting to some Bronco talk here in just a second. We got Clayton coming in saying, hey guys, smash that like button and share, guys. Absolutely, bud. Appreciate you so much. Always coming in here. Always supporting us so dang well. Kenny Kirkpatrick of the amazing K&K Sports Show, guys. We talk about it all the time. Cousins on the East Coast. You need to check them out, the K&K Sports Show. If you want to talk Broncos, you want to talk Giants, you want to talk some wits and wagering, some betting, you just want to talk some sports, believe me, they got something for everybody over there. Check out the K&K Sports Show. He says, good evening, fellas. Football gods, answer to prayer, knocking the Cowboys out. Yeah, I think we're going to maybe switch up everything that we had on our agenda because everyone's talking about what's going on as far as the games. We got Facebook user. By the way, guys, if you hit StreamYard.com/Facebook, it allows me to see your profile, allows me to see your name, and helps us out a ton. But how about them Packers is absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's been an amazing slate of games. We're going to get to, I think, right up next. I know who this is. Our good friend Patrick Wiltsey saying, aloha, boys. Stay caffeinated. Boy, I'm trying, buddy. I'm telling you, 100% Kona blend. I'm loving it. I think I'm reordering on that one for sure. Check out Lion Coffee, guys, if you know what I'm talking about. Check out Patrick. Just hit up Patrick. He'll tell you all about it as well. He'll probably tell you more than I. He's saying stay caffeinated so we can talk everything that will happen this second season. Of course, we're probably talking this off season as well. Michael Ronquillo coming in and saying, good evening, Keith, Jody, Albert, and Trevor. Good evening, Michael Ronquillo. Again, love that custom jersey, buddy, man. Looking good. Coming in here, always supporting. Coming in here and saying hello to Pearl as well. So that's fantastic. Appreciate you guys so much. Coming in here. Now we're getting recipes. A latte with Kona is the best. I want to hit these games, guys, because, I'm going to get back to our good friend Kurt Valente that comes in, other half of the K&K Sports Show, host of Let's Talk Broncos. That comes on Wednesday night, 7 p.m.? Is that correct, guys? Am I right on that? So Wednesday, 7 p.m. We're getting the nod. He said, boys, Dak, over $51 million a year, another playoff debacle, 2 playoff wins. Anybody still want him? Not me. Worst QB contract in the NFL. Come back in and saying the Cowboys should blow this whole coaching staff up after tonight. Bring in Belichick right now. Yeah, there's a possibility there is some big changes. Everyone's talking Mike McCarthy is possibly out as a Cowboys head coach. We can talk a little bit about that. We can talk about the Packers winning, beating the Cowboys at home 48-32. Prescott, hey, it's the recipe that Jody likes. He went 41 for 60 for 403 yards. That's what we should be doing, right, Jody? Throwing the ball all over the place. I'm kidding, Jody. He did have three TDs and 2 interceptions. Start off with Jody since I'm picking on you. Jody, what did you think of the game, the Packers, the Cowboys, and what Jordan Love was able to do in Dallas?
Dallas' defense couldn't stop anybody. Along with Dak throwing, 2 interceptions, 1 for a pick six. Another one that they scored off of. I mean, that was 14-point swing right there. Dallas couldn't get the run game going. Green Bay was running it at will, big chunks. And like I've said, that's how you win football games. You run the football. And it was proven again. Green Bay ran the football. Yes, they made big plays down the field, but that was all set up with running the football. It's something that Denver needs to this offseason get serious with, because it doesn't matter if you bring Russ back or rookie quarterback, you're setting them up for failure throwing the ball 39, 40, 50 times a game. It's just that's a recipe for disaster.
Recipe disaster for it doesn't matter if it's Russ or if it's Dak throwing 60 attempts in a game, man. I don't know. I can't remember last time I saw that from an NFL quarterback. Aaron Jones, 21 rushes, 118 yards. As Michael Ronquillo comes in here, he had 3 touchdown runs on top of it. Albert, what were your thoughts on this Packers-Cowboys game? And boy, the Cowboys, they were unstoppable at home this year. They 12-win season. They look like they were on a roll. Who knew what was possible? All stopped tonight.
Apparently, they have been outcoached again. The Packers they showed up and they knew what to do when they had a game plan and they stuck to it, and that's pretty much how it was. And guess what? Do the Packers have a blueprint on how to bring a quarterback up to snuff? They have done it now 2 times in a row. First, they started with Aaron Rodgers. He said a couple of years after Favre.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Jordan Love, who said a couple of years after Aaron Rodgers. I think they have something. And by the way, I don't think that Russ's contract is the worst of the NFL right now. I think if you look at the Dallas Cowboy, what's his
Dak Prescott.
What is his cap hit over the next 2 years? I think
on a 1 year. He's on a 1-year deal now. They have
he's due for a deal next year. So
yeah.
So, but for this year, it is at least 51 million or 61 million, I believe, that cap hit. So
yeah.
So compare that with Russell's contract. If they would, it's only, what is it, 37 million for this year?
Yep. 37 versus 51. Yeah. The only thing I would say in comparison is they did make the playoffs. Something I really wish we would had at least the ability to get in there, get our butt whooped, do something. Man, that would have been nice, man. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, man.
But you got your rear end kicked by a second-year quarterback.
Yeah, but you got that monkey off your back. Believe me, I would take an obliteration just to get the monkey off my back of going to the playoffs. Heading around to Trevor, man. What are your thoughts on this game? Obviously, we got 2 more games to go after this, too, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not on the whole blame Dak Prescott train. I don't think it's all him. I think that defense was just outmatched today. They were unprepared. On both sides of the ball, they were unprepared. I mean, then that comes down to coaching. Right there, starts with coaching, and goes on down. And then you have a guy, Dan Quinn, who might be leaving. You know, right now, that game looks really good on his resume. Right now, he might be a guy that a lot of teams have top of their head coaching list right now. I'm not sure that game looked really good for him or helped him out much. McCarthy might be out again. A name to watch there would be Mike Vrabel. That'd be a guy that I think would fit well in Dallas. And again, because Jerry Jones, he's so hands-on with the team. I'm not sure he would let a Bill Belichick or a Jim Harbaugh come in and be the head coach when those guys are going to want more control of the roster. We'll see what Bill Belichick wants. That's my biggest question with Belichick is how much control is he going to want over an organization. And so for me, Vrabel would make perfect sense. I think if Dallas goes in a different direction, I also wouldn't count out Dan Quinn completely. You erase this game, he's actually turned that defense around for the most part. But again, this game, Dallas couldn't run the football. They just couldn't take care of the football. I mean, that's just not a recipe for success. And to turn the football over twice, Jordan Love just looked absolutely amazing in this game. I mean, he's definitely the Packers franchise quarterback going forward. Again, Albert's got something there. The Packers really know how to develop quarterbacks and do it well. They did it with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, now with Jordan Love. I mean, whatever we got to do, man, they know how to do it and do it well. And so that's something maybe the Broncos should do. Maybe you're not going to get that success right away, but 2 or 3 years down the line, if you're going to get that quarterback, send him behind a veteran, and then from there on, then you can hand the keys over to that rookie. Maybe that's key success, like just what the Packers have done. So just overall, this game, disappointing for Cowboys fans, but I don't blame it all on Dak Prescott. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. So you win a team, you lose a team. You
heard it from Trevor. Draft a rookie. Start Stidham for 2 years. That's the recipe for success. I'm just kidding, man. I like putting words in everybody's mouths this evening. I appreciate it. boy, no matter where we turn on these next couple of games, guys, we talk about opponents we got to face this year. I think I'm going to start off with the early game. We'll start off with Browns-Texans. Browns, well, the Flacco magic ended, guys. It came to a screeching halt as the Texans handed it to the Browns 45-14. Talk about another fantastic performance. And a young quarterback, C.J. Stroud, rookie, goes out there 16 for 21. 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. What did you think about the performance that the Texans put on versus the Browns, Trevor?
I mean, again, Cleveland's defense, I mean, they were not there in this game. And again, Cleveland's recipe for success in this game. Each team has a recipe for success in the playoffs. And Cleveland right now, with not having Deshaun Watson, by the way, Deshaun Watson has by far the worst contract as far as any quarterback in the NFL.
Thank you. That's a good point. How easily we forget.
Yeah, but no. Again, Cleveland, their defense was not very good. I give credit to Houston, Stroud, and DeMeco Ryans, and Brian Sloak, who's another guy that might get head coaching job somewhere else. Texans offensive coordinator. They've just done a great job just with that offense, and Cleveland's defense just was outmatched in this game, and then they had to, their recipe of success throughout the playoffs had to be play lockdown defense throughout the playoffs, because again, you have Joe Flacco. That's a bridge quarterback. That's a game manager at its finest. That's Joe Flacco, and he wasn't going to carry you through the playoffs. So you needed to play good defense. They weren't able to do so. Cleveland's offense wasn't able to get going, and this is end up being the fate. But again, give credit to Kevin Stefanski for getting this team to where they're at, because how many teams can you really say, oh, well, we don't have our starting quarterback? Well, Cleveland had 3 or 4 this season, and look where they ended up. They still ended up making the playoffs. So there's no excuses of, oh, you have a starting quarterback and we can't make the playoffs. No, just goes to show you have to have a complete roster. You have a complete roster, you can still get to the playoffs without a franchise quarterback in place. You can still get there with the bridge. That just goes to show you that's what Cleveland's path was this season.
Absolutely, man. One that surprised me, and I just got to get this in before I go to Albert. Nico Collins, 6 receptions, for 96 yards and a touchdown, man. Nico Collins, that's the type of guys that the Texans are relying on. How many people have yelled out Nico Collins in the last couple of years? Not too many. That being said, Albert, what were your thoughts on this Browns-Texans game?
Well, I'm not sure if it has already been declared, but one of those 2 coaches, head coach of the year.
And
what about C.J. Stroud as rookie of the year?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is no debate about it. He is the rookie of the year. And so, yeah, what Stroud is doing, it is incredible. And I'm glad for Houston that they're finally doing very well. Not that I'm support them, but I'm glad that they are doing well. I think they deserve it. They've been trying, and now they found a path and a way to do it. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Texans are looking good, looking to be in a fantastic position, a position maybe the Denver Broncos could have been in. I remember me and Jody over here debating about DeMeco Ryans being a possible head coach for the Denver Broncos. He goes to Houston, puts it together in 1 year, and gets it done. Jody, what were your thoughts on Texans and the Browns?
Joe Flacco, in the words of John Elway, Joe Flacco in his prime showed up. 2 pick sixes. The second one, I mean, was almost like he was just like, I think this is a bad call, and I'm going to show you why. Because he just threw it right to the Houston guy. And that's why Flacco was on the bench, or that's why Flacco was on his couch for most of the season. Yeah, he came in and won you some games, but that wasn't long-term success, which is exactly why I hope Denver does not roll with some bridge quarterback next year. It's take your lumps with the rookie quarterback or build around Russ. Watching games this weekend, it is very noticeable. Tight ends are a big part of most of these teams' offenses, and we don't have one. And that's why that is very high on my list of positions next year in this draft. Is find yourself a playmaking tight end. I don't care if you can block. Find a receiving tight end that can make plays for you over the middle.
Whiff on every block. I don't care. You need to be able to catch the ball. Let's get somebody in here. No,
Well,
I
you
know what
brought
you're
in
getting at,
blocking
man.
tight ends this year that don't that are not the best blockers. So who cares? At this
100%,
point,
man.
I don't care. Find yourself a tight end from Njoku. Luke Musgrave made plays today.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Laporta has a touchdown. Tight ends all over the field. Denver, go find a tight end. Do not run this back with Greg Dulcich and expect him just to be healthy. That is not a recipe for success.
Man, I like it, man. Bring the heat a little bit. Where they could have used a little bit of heat. The last game, real quick. I'll go back to you, Jody, to start. Dolphins, Chiefs. Talk about a tight end and a tight end that showed up. Taylor Swift had plenty to cheer about as Travis Kelce had a pretty good evening, and the Kansas City Chiefs roll up the Dolphins 26-7. What were your thoughts on this game, buddy? Oh, by the way, Michael Ronquillo just pointing out that Kareem Jackson is also still going on with the Houston Texans as well. Jody, you got that?
What? So, sorry. Repeat that. I thought you went to the next.
No, it's okay, man. I was just saying they could have. They certainly could have warmed up down in Kansas City. Obviously, very very cold games, but the Chiefs take a 26-7 over the Dolphins. Travis Kelce, like you were talking about, tight end, end up showing up. What are your thoughts, man?
That's why Andy Reid is probably the best coach currently in the NFL. He knows how to coach in big games. Leaned on the run game. And Patrick Mahomes. At some point, their receivers were going hands and they were catching balls. And Kansas City has a legit top 10 defense this year, something that they haven't had in their other runs.
Yeah,
and that's carrying of that along with a run game and a running back that runs hard and gets you 3, 4, 5 yards every carry. That is a recipe for success in the playoffs. And Mike McDaniels probably shoots himself in the foot. He can't get away from throwing the ball and some of the stuff and not focus on the run. I mean, in that game, you should have been 30, 35 carries just pounding the rock.
Fair to say, especially in a game as cold as it was. Isaiah Pacheco was toting that rock, 24 for 89, a touchdown. Mahomes went 23 for 41, 262 yards, and 1 TD as well. What were your thoughts, Albert, as you were right in there in the backyard of this game?
Yeah, I was listening to the game. I didn't watch it. We were out with some friends, and so yeah, from what I heard, but yeah, don't blame the Dolphins because it might have only been when the game started -2, but at halftime it was a chill factor of -26. So it was extremely cold. Yeah, my car within an hour, the inside of my car was frozen. So it was that cold. The wind was a big factor over there. So yeah, and then if you come from sunny Florida, you're gonna have a hard time. And that was also one of the reasons that Patrick Mahomes' helm cracked. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard it, but it had to do with the temperatures as well. So yeah, getting a good game. The Chiefs were a little used to the cold, and Dolphins are apparently not at all. I think that was a big factor of the entire game.
Yeah. Bring on the cold. Yeah, I don't think they want any more cold than it was. What were your thoughts, really quick, Trevor, on this game? As like I said, the Chiefs dominate the Dolphins 26-7. Rashee Rice, though, 8 receptions, 130 yards and a touchdown. Man, he really has been coming on. What an amazing wide receiver. Maybe they did find an answer for the loss of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think my biggest takeaways in this game, I think Fangio's defense fails again in the postseason. It didn't show up one bit. Chiefs pretty much got whatever they wanted in this game. And Tua was not good in this game. I mean, got a QBR rating of 15. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're never going to win a game to have a QBR rating that bad. He was just that's one. Those you can start right there. No running game. Tua was horrible, and your defense was non-existent. The Kansas City got whatever they wanted, whether or not whether. I mean, yeah, it's not easy to play in those type of games, but I mean, you have to be prepared a little more than that. Tua 20 for 39, 199 yards, had 2 sacks on the day. Vic Fangio's defense had no sacks in that game. That's not a recipe for success. You have to get. We see it this year with Denver. You have to get in Mahomes' face. You have to pressure him. You have to get after him, and can't just let him just cook all day and sit back in zone coverage all the time. I just think that's Vic's. Vic Fangio's defense just disappointing because that's the guy that you paid big time money, one of the top paid defensive coordinators in the NFL, and his defense just does not show up.
Yeah, I will give Vic Fangio, the Miami Dolphins, one other, get off the hook, I guess you could say. I know it was cold, but they also had like 7 starters out. They were beat up, and this defense, they lost obviously Bradley Chubb, a name that we all know, but he was their leading pass rusher. They actually, I think they totaled it up on the screen. There was something like 20 some sacks between the people that were missing for that game. So not the defense that they wanted to put on the field. That being said, I agree with you, Trevor. When I was watching that being played out, I'm like, the Kansas City Chiefs are just playing the Denver Broncos defense from when Vic Fangio was running it, and looks like they're doing exactly what they did against that Denver Broncos defense when Vic Fangio was running it. So Pearl Heater saying she felt it was I felt it should have been postponed, that game as well. Of course, we have a postponed game for the Steelers and Bills that will be coming up tomorrow as well. I know, Jody, if you're listening, you're probably keeping up with that Lions-Rams game. So what do we got right now in the Lions and Rams? Get that up to speed, and then we'll hit one more topic before we get out of here, guys.
21-17 at half, Lions.
Nice. Our good friend over at the K&K Sports Show, Carson, he's a huge Lion fan. He's went through it for way too many years. So pulling for the Lions to win this one and maybe even keep going. So 21-17, nicely done.
Talking the Miami game, what surprises me, Mike McDaniels, who was on Kyle Shanahan's staff, and Kyle loves throwing the ball. And that type of game, 42 pass attempts, 14 runs. That's just not the recipe. Tua already doesn't have the biggest arm, and then trying to throw in the cold like that, he just didn't set his players up for success there.
Yeah, I got to say, in a lot of these games, though, I felt like, teams got behind early, and they, of course, always feel like you need to start passing the ball. You need to start getting in this game. We saw it certainly in that Browns and Texans game, as Joe Flacco was just going back there and winging it all around. If we're talking about a Dak Prescott attempting 60 pass attempts, obviously they got down super, super early. We're down like 27-0 the last time I had looked before they put any points on the board. So, you get winging the ball around and get completely away from that running game. It's the temptation, but I hear you, man. You need to start and keep going at that run game. Don't let the scoreboard get, too much in your head. You know what I mean? It can't, not to the point to where you're throwing it 60 times. That's not my thought. That's my thoughts, I guess. Sounds like it's yours too, Jody. But so I guess I'm agreeing with you in the end.
Well, it's the same thing you watched with Denver. It's like in the Detroit game. Run the ball and try to use the clock up and help your defense not be on the field the whole time. And you can shorten the game by running the ball and running it effectively. And we're going to throw it all over with Russ 40, whatever, how many ever times we throw it. It's not a recipe unless you have an elite defense or you have a unicorn like Patrick Mahomes that can go out there and do that. Even Josh Allen, I heard a stat today, he's thrown like 9 pick or 12 picks in his last 9 games or something. And you can see games that they're doing that they've taken the ball out of his hands. There are very few teams that I watch right now. The Lions may be one of the only teams that go wing it 40 times a game and do it effectively, but they still run the ball. When they run it effectively.
Fair. That's fair, man. When you do have that balanced attack, like Roger was coming in, he's saying you need a balanced attack to be successful. Absolutely. You need to find ways to be threatening both on the run game and on the passing game, run game, passing game, ground game, passing game, in order to be successful, man. I wanted to transition this, guys. Originally, we had the setup to go right after the coaches that, the coaches that have been let go or have moved on in their positions. We saw some big ones. We talked about them, whether they be Saban, whether they be Carroll, whether they be Belichick. We didn't mention, but we also had Ron Rivera on there, a guy that's been around the league for a long, long time. Rumors of Mike Tomlin as well. That could be moved on from, like we said, maybe even 9 to 10 all together when the season's the off season's all said and done, I guess you could say. But I wanted to transition over to our coaching staff. Now, I know that Kurt Valente, if you're out there, will still be calling for the head of Sean Payton. And as Albert said, maybe that's still a possibility, but all signs are showing that looks like Coach Payton is safe. We're not going to be part of the coaching carousel, though we might be part of the quarterback carousel. We won't be part of that coaching carousel, but there's decisions to be made, as Sean Payton said. They're taking this week, they're evaluating, they're looking at everything, not only from the player aspect, but also from the coaching aspect. So the question becomes, are there any particular coaches that should be moved on from on this Denver Broncos staff? I know, Trevor, you kind of brought this to the attention. I want you to go ahead, and you only get one at a time. So bring one to the table that you think might not have a future here in the Mile High City.
I think Christian Parker, because I think he might go somewhere else and be DC somewhere else. That was one that comes to mind right away for me. If he doesn't, then I think he's back. But I think he's one guy that makes sense if someone else gets a job. He already has his name out there. It's been rumored for a couple off seasons now. Been around a lot of bright defensive minds. I wouldn't be surprised if Christian Parker goes elsewhere and beats DC somewhere else.
Shh, be quiet, Trevor. Be quiet, man. We've been trying to keep Christian Parker a secret, man. I'd love to be able to hang on to him just one more year. Don't know if that's going to be a possibility, but good call there, man. Not a guy that's going to be out the door for the wrong reasons. A guy that might be out the door for all the right reasons, moving up in the NFL ranks. Albert, do you have any thoughts about coaches on this staff that we should be looking at to move on from?
I think we are not looking. I think VJ will get an head coaching gig somewhere. He is good enough to do so. Will he succeed? I'm not sure. It might be same principle scenario what we've seen with the Broncos, but that is a possibility. The one I do not want to see go is the special teams coach. Because he is doing an excellent job from what I have seen so far this year, and I would not like to see him. I would like him to see staying with the Broncos. Everyone else, the O-line coach, yeah, was he good? Not that good. If you only have 5 or 6 games that you can say, wow, the O-line was good, and the rest of them was bad, and you only have one guy in there that is superb, in my opinion, then the offensive line coach needs to be go by too.
Okay. Well, you took 2. I only gave Trevor 1. So, man, now I guess I got to give, as we come around the corner, I guess, well, we want to keep Ben Kotwika, the special teams coordinator, and the offensive line coach might be out the door, and that's Zach Streif, new offensive line coach. You took 2. I was just saying, I just pointed out. Don't be mad. It's all right, Albert. I'm going to give Jody 3 now. Vance Joseph for 1 is what Ernie Mays is coming in and saying, and Pearl's in 100% agreement. And Michael Ronquillo will say VJ is getting a little bit of head coaching hype as well. What are your thoughts? You don't have to take all 3, Jody. I was just giving a bad time. What are your thoughts on this coaching staff and who could stay, who could go, and who you think might be leaving or should be leaving?
I wish VJ was leaving, but I think he'll be back. If I had to guess, it's somebody on the offensive side, and I don't think Zach Streif is going anywhere. That's one of Payton's boys from the Saints.
A lot of them.
If I was going to go someone, and we seen him get blown up one time, the same time rested, I could definitely see Davis Webb going, QB coach. Now, I would probably say Joe Lombardi. I never was a fan of that hire, but that was one of Peyton's guys, and he was in New Orleans a long time with him. So, and I think that's a puppet for Sean Payton. He's not calling plays anyways. So, if I was going to guess, probably our QB coach might be one.
Boy, you stole one from me. Yeah, Davis Webb, first-time QB coach, of course, long-time backup quarterback in the league. Big surprise when he came in here, and quite honestly, I could definitely see kind of taking the fall within this as well. This is my choice as well. I'm going to agree with Jody because I think Davis Webb might be that guy that's most likely to be out the door. Just didn't see much help for a Russell Wilson, and quite honestly, if you want to go back and take a second look at a bad clip in Broncos history, I guess you could say, when Sean Payton goes marching over and starts yelling at Russell Wilson this season, Davis Webb is sitting right next to him. You want to see a kid that looks like, I'm not with this guy. Man, he had that look written all over his face, man. He was like scared, like beyond scared. I would love to see somebody come in that has a little bit more experience. We have a couple of positions where we went really, really young on experience, and I think it failed us a little bit. Davis Webb might be one of those guys. I'll bring it back around the horn. Trevor, do you have anybody else that you'd like to talk about here? And I'll open it all the way up. We can talk about whoever we like, and we'll head around to Albert and Jody as well. So,
yeah, I mean, the only other guy I see would be maybe Van Joseph, but again, I don't think it's likely. The only reason I say maybe is because look how many defensive coaches are out there. Maybe Sean Payton pulls a Vic Fangio and says, "Yeah, this isn't my guy. Let me go There's a better crop of coaches out there that I think can coach his defense up better. Maybe he go grabs this guy." But other than that, I think Sean Payton's loyal to a fault to his guys. Again, you can say Davis Webb and all these other guys, but he picked those guys. It's not like George Payton picked it for him, So those are his guys.
True.
I think he'll stick with those guys for the most part. Again, the only guy I could possibly see on is Christian Parker, and that's just because he gets a better opportunity somewhere else. But VJ is a possibility, but I don't think it's likely. I think he's back another year, and I don't think VJ is going to be gone, go be head coach anywhere either. I think he's going to need another year to prove that he could be that guy and he can improve on the defense side of the ball. Because again, a lot of those stats from that Miami Dolphins game unfortunately doesn't look good on the stat sheet for VJ. So VJ maybe, but I don't see anything else. Just Christian Park.
Very good, buddy. Open it back up to Albert. As many names as you'd like, buddy. Let's take it away. I'm just giving you a bad time. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I have just one name. Bring him back. Wade Phillips. Let's see if we can get Wade Phillips. If you want to have a defensive opportunity, I think Wade Phillips would be a really good opportunity. Maybe he can bring the no-fly zone back.
That would be an interesting pairing. Of course, what was it? I forget Rex Ryan's brother, but Rex Ryan's brother was a longtime defensive coordinator with Sean Payton down in New Orleans for quite some time. Very, very vocal personality. So maybe a good pairing. I'm talking about Wade Phillips, someone who has the tenure and has the experience, like a guy like that could come in and kind of share that, right? Because, again, we just got done talking about Davis Webb. I don't know how much Davis Webb walks up to Sean Payton and says, "Hey, man, you're doing this wrong. This is the way we should be doing it." I just don't see it happening. A strong voice, especially on the defensive side, would be good. I think Wade Phillips could be that voice as well. Jody, open it up again. Any other thoughts around this coaching staff?
I don't really see anyone on the defensive side, and I'm just going off of what Payton said in his press conference. He brought it up multiple times how the offense failed in lots of key different situations and some things. The only thing that I don't think this is probably going to happen, but you've seen a lot of coaches that had to finally step away from calling plays, like Sirianni in Philly. Would Payton ever give that up and hire a true a true offense. I don't think so. Or offensive coordinator, I don't think so. Yeah, that's why I think really only Davis Webb. Joe Lombardi's a puppet for him as an OC.
I agree.
The next guy that comes in at quarterback coach, what does it really matter when it's almost like those two coaches, OC and QB coach, are neutered? With you need a quarterback that stands in the pocket and throws over the middle, and this is what he's got to do, and that's it. And we don't. Now, Payton did say that he was open into some different things, and
At least more than 18 times over the middle. That's all I got to say. And then I'll let you continue.
And he did say that he was open to whatever was best for this team. So it made me think, if they do bring Russ, is that something that he is willing to do? I mean, Pete Carroll in his press or in an interview I heard, he kind of clowned Payton. It's not how you win with Russ. You're throwing it way too many times with Russ. That's not how you win. And Pete Carroll knows firsthand. So he won a lot of games with Russ not throwing the ball throwing the ball 40 times a game. So maybe he would be advised or be better off to take some advice from someone that knows how you win with Russ.
I took a little something different from that, and I just want to say this really quick. I took that Russell used to be a threat as both a runner as well as a passer, and that they used to be able to utilize him as a runner, something that I don't know if Russell Wilson is capable of. He came in to camp in much, much better shape this year, and he certainly put up like 364 yards rushing, but I don't know if he's the same threat that he was outside of the pocket as he once was. That's my only concern to how to utilize Russell Wilson and get the most.
I don't know if it's the threat so much. I just almost get
that was Pete Carroll's words.
The Russ doesn't want to. Russ did it out of necessity because of last year, but I don't think Russ wants to go out there and run 6, 7, 8, 9 times a game. I don't think he wants to do that. So.
And see, that's what I got. The Pete Carroll said that's how you got the best out of Russ, because you had this running game with Marshawn Lynch. You had the ability to run with Russ as well as be able to pass with Russ, especially when you got him outside the pocket. And having all of that together, whether you're play actioning off of Marshawn Lynch and then you're running out with Russell Wilson. And now, is Russell Wilson going to take off and start running, or is he going to throw it down the field? You have so many, you have the defense guessing in so many different ways. Pete Carroll, that he felt that was the best way. Now, when they started to quote unquote let Russ cook and he started passing more and they weren't utilizing him as a runner and they only had Marshawn Lynch in the passing game, then we saw the success of the Seattle Seahawks kind of start to tail off. And I think that's what Pete Carroll was pointing out. That's just me. Sorry, not to make this a two-way discussion. I'll promise Trevor and Albert will get you in here.
No, I agree. If ultimately Russ is brought back, you better Sean Payton. You have to run the football. But that's why I'm almost certain he's not back, because Sean Payton did nothing to set Russ up at all, which he easily could have done. He never got him outside the pocket. He doesn't like that. I even go back to, and this sticks in my mind, when he threw that bomb to Cortland Sutton in the Chargers game. He made it a point. Yeah, he made it a point to say, well, that wasn't even the first read, and it was just off script. It was just a lucky kind of he made it a point to call that out.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, that everything, he just doesn't fit with Payton. And Payton is old school enough. I think Payton would rather lose doing what he wants than win doing it a different way. I get that feeling sometimes. And you could see the Patriots game, like you could have done some different things and won that game, but we were going to win my way or we're not going to win. And so
I agree. And I'm going to bring it over to Albert, and I'm going to bring it over to Trevor, and I'm going to do it this way, man, because I felt in his closing presser, whether it was saying, hey, I need to get better, maybe I need to get my eyes checked, I called the wrong play, it was really embarrassing. Luke Patterson brought that up when he was on our broadcast as well. Or just the fact that he said, hey, man, look, we need to get better. I need to get better. We weren't good in in the basically the gold zone. Deep in the red zone. He goes, I need to look at my play calling, what I'm doing. I felt he took a little bit on it. What do you think, Albert, about maybe Sean Payton taking a little bit on his own shoulders about this? Not something we saw a whole lot throughout the entire tenure as a Denver Bronco, and being able to change, whether that's with Russell Wilson or whomever we move forward with. What are your thoughts on that, Albert?
To me, it is mustard after the meal. That's a saying in Holland. A little bit too late.
Already?
Already?
He hasn't been here a year.
That should have happened during the game. He should have taken responsibility during the season, and that didn't happen. And yeah, if his eyesight is too bad, guess what? Optician is right next door. You can find them even at Walmart. You can find an optician. That is just a lame excuse, nothing else. So,
wow.
If that is the case, then you should not be a coach. You cannot be a coach. To me, it is a little bit too late. It is mustard after the meal.
Wow, a little bit too late. It sounds like it's decades too late in your mind, man. But I understand where you're coming from, buddy, man. Hey, don't tell me about what could have been and should have been, man. We're paying you a ton of money to come in here, and you're supposed to be doing a lot of things, whether it be fixing Russell Wilson, certainly making our team look better, and not looking like a rookie head coach. You want to come in here and give me your apologies now? Guess what? You can stick your sorries in a sack, mister. That's what Albert's saying. All right. I'll try I just want to go ahead, buddy.
Fix Russell Wilson. Did you always think that was like, I always thought that was weird, because if you were going to come in and fix Russell Wilson, you've got to adjust to what Russell Wilson does. And he never did that from day one. So yeah, he helped Russell Wilson with some things, but if you're going to fix Russell Wilson, you have to run what Russell Wilson does. So did he really fix Russell Wilson?
I'll be honest, man. We're at an hour right now, and that topic is probably a little bit longer one that we can broach. And I would like to do a little bit of research, because I think there were some efforts on both sides, but I get what you're saying, man. I always feel it's weird when you're brought in to, fix a veteran QB as it is. I think it's not necessarily about fixing the quarterback as much as it is fixing the system, right? And Nathaniel Hackett's system was, hey, Russ, do whatever you want, man. Sounds good. Anyway, Trevor, what are your thoughts? Did Payton take a little bit on the shoulders? Can he change? Does this team get better next year? Because of, quite honestly, the embarrassment that Payton shouldered as well in taking this losing season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he took accountability, but again, where was this in season? And what I don't understand is these little jabs at Russell Wilson. Why are you taking jabs at your quarterback? And then they're not like clear jabs. They're just little jabs here and there after the game. Like, well, yeah, we just didn't pass it well today. Well, you didn't also run the football effectively today, so we'll talk about that. And I mean, you still can't manage a game right at times, and it's just like you've been in the league way too long to be going through that. But no, I mean, the whole thing is, again, I think this team runs the football. They just don't run it effectively. There's two different things, in my opinion, and it's just they were never able to do that. That Cleveland Browns game, what were they able to do? Get turnovers, run the football effectively, and then we seen Russ shine. That was the game of the year that we've seen Russell Wilson really shine in, and that's what they were doing. I mean, they're getting turnovers on the defense side of the ball, but they were also being effective running the football off on the offense side of the ball, and then that was setting up the pass for Russell Wilson. So this whole thing of going through the middle of the field, Russ has never done that throughout his career. Why are we trying to do that right now? Play to his strengths. Something needs to be figured out this offseason, regardless of who your quarterback is. If that's Jarrett Stidham, Jacoby Brissett, Russell Wilson, it don't matter. You need to figure out how to run the football effectively for any quarterback. I don't care who it is. Look at all these offenses in the NFL right now in the playoffs. What are they doing? They would have a balanced attack, and they're able to run the football effectively. Denver cannot do that right now. They can't do any of it right now, to be honest with you. So it's just like, where does that fall on the shoulders of? And this whole thing of Sean Payton, well, I need to get my eyes checked, and I'm calling, not calling the right plays. Then you better figure it out this season. Because if you can't call the plays, somebody else, you better trust someone else to do that. And if you're trusting someone else to call the plays, What does that say about you as a head coach right now? That's what you were brought in here for, is the offense. Where's the offense at? Middle tier. What was his offense at in New Orleans? Middle tier. He's not had a top offense without Drew Brees. He has not been able to prove that he can effectively win with a different quarterback other than Drew Brees. Yeah, he's had these little spurs of Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, and all those other guys, but not a full season. So that's my whole thing. Is so again, I hope the best for Sean Payton. I hope he figures it out, because for the Broncos' sakes, they need to figure it out. And again, I hope it is with Russell Wilson, but I don't think it's going to be. I think Sean Payton's stubborn. He wants his own quarterback in here the way he fits it and he sees it. He wants his own style quarterback. I don't think he wants to adjust 100%. Now, some things I do think he adjusts to when it comes to Russell Wilson, but I don't think he adjusted fully to Russell Wilson. Just my opinion. So I don't think it worked very well with the run game, especially. But we'll see what happens going forward. I think there was something discussed there with ownership and Sean Payton, like, hey, if I can't get Russell Wilson to be effective the way I want it to be, can we move off him in a year? If not, I'm not taking this job, because I'm not going to be handicapped the quarterback that I didn't pick up. That might be a possibility. I think that's a strong possibility in this whole thing. I don't think Denver's 100% done with Russell Wilson. We'll see what happens going forward. We'll plan to talk throughout this offseason. Keith, I could go on and on about this, but I'm not going to take too much more of your guys' time up.
You're good, buddy. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to see if I can get you to pass out, because I'm going to go right here. Take a deep breath. It's time for closing comments. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, also by your comment earlier about Wade Phillips, I thought you were talking about Rob Ryan. That's Shrex's brother.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I was just making a parallel.
Yeah, I don't want any of the Ryans here. That's what I was trying to mention. I don't mind Wade Phillips at all. Yeah, bring him back if you have to. But no, just again, thank you everybody tonight for joining the show, and thanks for letting me rant. And sometimes I go really, really fast, but it's just the passion. It's passion that kicks in, and I see right through the whole Sean Payton deal, and I don't know. There's a lot to be figured out, and time will tell what happens with this football team. Right and wrong, what goes on, and we'll have plenty of time to discuss this offseason. So I was trying to do everything in about 5 minutes or so, but thank you everybody for joining on a great show, guys, and stay warm and go Broncos.
Absolutely, buddy. I had to give you a bad time, man. It never seems like enough time, man. We had some great comments that we didn't get to. We have fantastic fans that we appreciate a ton. We have conversations that I even had to cut Jody off from and said, hey, man, I don't know if we have enough time for it. Guys, we love the Broncos. We love you. We love Albert Knoppers as well. And Albert, I'm going to have you up next for some closing comments. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I did it again.
Just one more time. It's all right, buddy.
Third time is a charm, isn't it?
And there you go.
So, it was a great show again. And we are all passionate about the Broncos, and which is good. That's why we have this show. I want to thank all of you who were in the comments and participating in the conversation. Ernie, Roger, Adam and Kayla, Michelle, Kenny, Jeremy, Kurt, Clayton, Patrick, Pearl, and Michael. It makes it so much more fun if you guys are on there and have a hot debate with us. And thank you all for being there. And see you on Tuesday, all.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good little plug. That'll be the next show, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Rocky Mountain Sports Network, the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. And now the judge, Jody Moncrief, for some final thoughts from him. What are you thinking, Jody?
Something I've pondered for a couple weeks now. Someone tell me they're just trying to trade Russ. That makes no sense to me. Russ has a no trade clause. He can go to that team. He can say, release me, Denver, and go to that team and that team give nothing up for him. So the longer that Russ is on, the longer that you don't hear nothing about Russ, I think the odds just keep going up and up that he sticks around next year. Because there's no benefit of waiting. Release him now, or because no one's trading for Russ. And even if someone wanted to, all Russ and that team and Russ want to pair up, all Russ has to do is say, no, don't trade me there, release, and then get released, and that team give up nothing to get him.
Correct.
So that's why the the more I think about it, I think it's the odds are going up that Russ is going to be on this team next year.
Yeah,
There's no benefit of waiting, in my opinion. Just do it.
I agree. I don't think there's much benefit in waiting. I think I'm just waiting for that evaluation time, man. I'm waiting for that week away that that the coaching staff is taking. Now, if a week from today, 10 days from today, we're still sitting here not seeing Russ's being released, then yeah, I think the percentages really start ratcheting up at that point that we see Russell Wilson back as a Denver Bronco.
And I mean, even if you say whoever will give a 7th round, all Russ has to do is say no. Denver releases him, and that's a 7th round pick that they can use to go get whoever to help Russ or help the defense or whatever. And he still goes to that same team and that team give up nothing. So I don't. A trade makes, if you're Russ, a trade makes 0 sense.
No, honestly, and again, debates that could rage on. The only time that it ever makes sense is if they keep him and they don't play him, and he sits. And then pretty soon Russ says, okay, I'll do something to get out of here. I'll waive my no trade clause to certain teams, yada, yada, yada. That's the only scenario that I see it happening.
Yeah.
Pearl coming in and saying, and don't forget about Wednesday for the K&K Sports Show, of course. And Michael Ronquillo's thinking maybe a little Atlanta Falcons for Russell Wilson. That being said, gentlemen, my closing thoughts. I said I was going to get on here and talk about this. Winner, chicken dinner. We want to go ahead and we want to get this giveaway going, guys. But again, I've messed up. So this is what I want. I need you to go over to YouTube, go on to this podcast, and type in winner. And if you do that, then I'm going to go ahead and put your name in an entry box in order to be the winner of our giveaway that's been going on way too long. And I'm already thinking about kicking in a little something extra for you as well. So making it worth your while. So YouTube, Rocky Mountain Sports Network, check it out. Go ahead, like this video, share this video, but more importantly, comment winner on this video to be entered. Of course, guys, I just want to say really quick, we are brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your Colorado sports needs, whether it be your Broncos, like you're listening right here, your Avalanche, your Nuggets, or your Rockies. And just a quick shout out, guys, K&K Sports Show. We talked about them a couple of times. No official sponsor, no official link, but man, those guys are fantastic. We're on their podcasts. They're on ours, the K&K Sports Show. Check them out. Fantastic stuff. Broncos, Giants, all sports, wits and wagers, you name it. Check out the K&K Sports Show as well, guys. Gentlemen, we'll be back on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Right now, we're on the Sunday, Friday, Tuesday rotation, guys, all at 7 p.m., all Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube. You can check us out on Facebook. And of course, you can take us with you on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify as well, guys. It's been a fantastic show. Appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate you talking Broncos. I know that there's a lot of football going on, so appreciate everybody that's tuned in this evening. I'm going to go ahead and get out here with the regular guys. Keep your boots in your stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, and keep the Broncos in your heart. Until next time, we're out of here. Good night, everybody.